gentlemen, around the world, it is time once again for the Wadcast. That must mean it's 10 p.m. on a Friday night Eastern Standard or 7 p.m. on the left coast. I am one of your hosts, Josh, joined as always by the guy with two left ears. Brandon.
What is up, everybody? It is Brandon here, just saying hello, good evening, and happy Friday.
Yes, it's Friday. We made it through another week. Whew. Barely. I'm glad the school year is almost over.
You what?
I said I'm glad the school year is almost over. Man,
Oh yeah, no.
it's been a rough year. Yeah. Whew.
Oh, man. Yeah,
So-
I don't know what else. I don't have any kids. I've got a dog. That's about it. As I've said before, I really don't have any experience with little tykes going to school. Just,
Oh, I
living
just got a message that the school year just began.
Oh,
Well, that's a bummer.
your kids are late.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Welcome to the show, the Wadcast writers, actors, and writers, actors, directors, and every position on set in between to bring you the magic of movies and television. And we talk about it. We talk to the people that do it. And tonight we have, I think, a really good show for you as we talk about. What are we talking about, Brandon? That's right. We're talking about collaboration.
Wi-Fi. Oh, there we go.
Looks
you
like,
there?
yeah, I'm here. Are you there?
I'm sorry, a little technical difficulty there. Sorry. So
Well,
I missed out
It played
everything,
perfectly.
writers, actors, and directors, and everything in between. What did you say after that?
I said, "What are we talking about tonight, Brandon?" And after a couple
we're-
of seconds of silence, I was like, "Yep, that's right, collaboration."
Collaboration. The pros and the cons. So, oh, that was fun. That's just like perfect timing right there. Let's collaborate on a show. Bye.
Yeah, just put my name on it, and I'll act like I know what I'm talking about.
Yes. And that way we have Goodwill Hunting. Joking. Joking. But I'm sure Ben Affleck is a very talented writer. Which he is, actually. So he's got some pretty solid stuff. But no, we are talking about collaboration. The good things that can come from collaboration, the bad things, the pros, like the great things about collaboration, and the things that make it kind of, I don't know, rough. Because you do have people, as a writer, and I'm sure it goes for everything else, but I've never collaborated in a directorial anything. Closest thing I co-directed was my friend Ray's music video back in like 2011 or 12, somewhere around there. But basically, you and I have collaborated on numerous things over the years.
Yes.
Quite a few, actually. I've probably co-written with you more than I've co-written with anybody else. And we're doing the Bad Agent series right now, and even Brian Wallace has done stuff to collaborate with that. He writ, just a writer. He's written. I know words. He has written an entire episode to add to the smorgasbord of episodes, and he submitted feedback and also suggested dialogue that just worked so much more fluently with some of the episodes.
Yeah.
So we've worked we worked with him throughout the whole process, and since he's also supposed to play Simon, since he is the one to play Simon, we want to try to keep it as close to what he feels is accurate for the character as possible. But I don't really think I have any actual horror stories of collab. Well, I do have a story. And he's a really cool guy. I'm not going to throw his name out there, but he's a really, really cool dude. But he wanted to write this football-related script like years ago. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll help you write it. That's cool. Just come on over to my house and sit down and, at my computer with me, and we'll bang some stuff out. While I'm writing, he's showing me pictures of really hot girls on his phone. I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. Are you going to help me write?
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
I end up writing, I think, like 60 pages on my own. I'm like, when are you going to start writing? So I just stopped.
60 pages? We did pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was after a lot of studying. Because it was about a specific football league. I think it's like that arena football league or whatever that is. It's really popular in Jacksonville. They have, what was it, the Sharks? I think is that this? Okay, the Sharks.
I mean, they're many-time champions. They're actually good. But
I watched a series that was on HBO. I forget the name of it. I don't know if it's the league or what, but it was about
Ballers.
Huh?
Ballers.
No, I have to go back and look at this. And if he's listening, I'm not going to say his name, but buddy, I'm
Excuse me.
I have no will whatsoever. I honestly, it's actually very interesting story I have about this. Am I fading? Okay, I hear that static. Am I going in and out?
A little bit.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I hate this area. It's so noisy everywhere I go in this neighborhood, so I have like limited movement. All right, but we had this. There was this show that I watched, and I studied this. I watched this entire series to get like an idea of what goes on behind the scenes, because it was supposed to be very, very accurate as to what a lot of these athletes deal with between steroids and marital problems, marital affairs. What happens if they become like too big of a deal? What happens if they get burnt out? Stuff like that. I dedicated hours, man, like reading up on histories of players and stuff like that, just so I could get a feel for the characters I wrote. And I got like nothing in return, so I'm like, okay, this is not going to work out. And that is how I pick and choose who I'm going to write with. It's a great idea. It was actually a really good idea. I've not seen anything on screen about it, and I have not touched it because it was his idea, not mine. It's a shame, but I never went back to it. So, what about you? Worst experience? That's my only one. It's not even like a really bad experience. It's just like kind of one of those I was laughing the entire time thinking like, oh, I have a co-writer? Cool. When do I meet him?
Let's see. I've collaborated with a few people over the years. I think at this point, nobody more than you. Kevin, probably a very close second. And for those of you Semi-Core, longtime listeners, you remember Kevin. He was here at the start. Let's see. There was another series that I had written on. Let's see.
Say this real quick. As long as Kevin knows his place at number 2. That's right, Kevin. Eat it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, he had to. Well, I guess he didn't have to, but he took a job in the news industry. So that's what he does now. Twiddles knobs there. Like I said, there's a series that I worked on, a web series that another. I don't remember if you know the third. I know you know one of the people involved. I don't know if you know the third person involved.
Not without a name.
Well, this is one of those situations where I don't want to name names.
Well, you can text me the name. And then I can have like a surprise, oh yeah, I know, and then say their name.
Okay. Seems unfair to the listeners, but okay.
I'm joking. I won't say their name, but I just want to know who. Well, you can't do that to me. It's not like, oh, well, I worked with this person that you know. Who is it? You know them. Well, what do they look like? Oh, you know.
Oh, you know. It's somebody we've both worked with.
Oh, okay. Never mind. It's a dude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes.
So worked on this other series, and it was a lot of suggesting, but it turned into mostly and that was on my end where I don't know. I just felt like wasn't being listened to, and in the end, felt my contribution was very minimal.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that was like you, me. That was you, me, and I will say his name, Brandon Sparks, who I gotta say that like the shit that he came up with. Like, okay, this is actually really good. Like, Brandon, if you're listening, dude, like I will never stop raving about your writing. The man's talented.
Yes.
We can have
That's
any
positive.
We can have any. Oh, it was, and we can have like Brandon and I can have our disagreements on a few aspects in the world, but the thing what it comes down to is the fact that he's a badass when it comes to coming out with some of the most off the wall and hysterical shit that you'll ever hear. But yeah, that was yours and mine actual introduction to writing together.
Yes, that one particular project.
And yeah, that one, I'm just saying that was our introduction, yours and mine, to actually writing together.
Our literal introduction.
Oh yeah, no, that's excuse me. That's actually when the two of you sought me out about my writing. I think I sent you guys a sample of my writing to see if it was something you guys would be interested in collaborating with.
There was no me involved in finding you. I was, if you recall, we met at a Walmart McDonald's.
Yep.
And I was just told, "Hey, come with me. We're gonna go eat someone." I was like, "Okay, this is awkward, but yeah, okay, sure." And that's where we met.
That's how I met your Joshua.
I think we could have gotten like 8 more seasons out of this.
No, I honestly think like that show had it been that is something where now collaboration, and I know that collaboration is the focal point of this episode. And when it's just 2 writers or 3 writers, like with Bad Agent, or even with that show. When it's just the writers themselves developing a series, with no one saying yes or no or yada yada yada, because even working with Bad Agent with Brian, helming it with us, and Mark, our actual like one of our other past guests on the show, Mark Hensley. Well, not past guest, but focal point for an interview. Even with Mark, I mean, Mark has done nothing but feel like, okay, this is fucking great. Like, oh, damn it, there's my one.
Then you wasted it.
I quoted Mark, so if you've ever had a conversation with the man, he's hysterical. There's no wasting any quotes that come out of that man's mouth. But, well, either way, congratulations, Mark. You took my spotlight. You took my shine. You took my charm. But getting back to it, when you have someone when you have a group of people that are passionate about something, when you guys really want to bring something together, and had it not been for this whole COVID apocalypse that we have going on right now, we'd already be, it would either be filming right now or it would have already been filmed. But with what happened with that one show, that wasn't just collaboration. The collaboration between the writers was fantastic. It was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. Very enjoyable.
We're always talking to each other. We're always cracking each other up over the phone, like phone conference calls and stuff like that. What it came down to was being handcuffed by the person that was supposed to be in charge of everything, and let's face it, not a whole lot was really helped. To this individual, no offense. If you're listening, you're welcome to comment in on it. But it's just one of those deals where I think even like as recently as oh God, what was it? 2 years ago, I think I actually posted something on Facebook about a year ago, I think. I posted something on Facebook talking about like, something I dealt with a guy that didn't like my price for something.
I remember that.
Yeah, and this individual came in and was like, well, what have you done to really, like, well, write an entire damn series for you for free, man. That's what I did. Did I become anything? No, because you bailed. You had the connections and nothing ever happened.
And don't get me wrong, I thought what we wrote for that was epic. I mean, it was great. It was absolutely hilarious. And
I revisited to just like laugh because it was a hysterical series. It really was.
Chances are, yeah, could we do something with it? Maybe, but every once in a while there comes a project where things are a little hazy. There's a little bit of a gray area because other people are technically involved, even if they weren't involved.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you come across a person that will make things difficult for no reason other than just to make them difficult. That's in all aspects of life.
Yeah.
And you and I, we made a pretty conscious decision to just not necessarily step away from it, but and not even bury it, but just kind of leave it where it is at the moment.
It's a very common thing to happen in any, like in the film and television industry. Like there's so many things that are written, and these things are, the word you're looking for is shelving. We shelved it, the whole project.
Yeah.
Now it may never happen. It may happen. I actually have some information for you after the show, but it may or may not someday happen. I'm not holding my breath on it. Definitely not counting the roosters before they hatch, or counting the whatever before they hatch. Platypuses. I don't know. Whatever. The thing is things happen. You got to deal with it, and who you going to call, right? Ghostbusters. Made no sense. It just kind of sounded really cool. But
yeah, you got your Ghostbusters reference in. I hope
I did.
You're happy.
Ghostbusters. Peter Venkman on the stand. But Ghostbusters 2, actually. I don't want some Ghostbusters freak being like, "Oh, it was Ghostbusters 2." Like, I know, dick. I've watched the movies, but I'm arguing with myself right now. The thing is still these things happen. And I don't hold. I was angry for a while. I actually stepped away from writing for like a good year and a half, 2 years after that. Like I was like, well, why write? This is what I have to look forward to, because at that point, remember, I'd already told you I gotten screwed with The Groomsmen.
Yeah.
Like, a feature film that I wrote, and I never heard from the gentleman who was supposed to be like, quote unquote, producing, and not the director. Mahmoud is a really great guy. Nothing with him, but here's what it comes down to. These are the this is the moral of both situations here. Very same endings, exact same endings. If you tell the world that you're a producer, if you take on that label, if you believe in a project, if you come on board, especially if you are not paying anything to the writer, and that writer is still willing to work with you, do not end don't end the collaboration with, "I can't continue because I have to get paid."
Yeah.
Completely forsaking the writer, because it happened both times. But I will say this, at least with the second time round, there was a notice. There was a, if you want to call it, formal email to you, myself, and I believe Brandon also received it, because we all had the WTF moment of like,
what just happened?
Like, okay, like But either way, nothing ever happened. And that's a good example of bad collaboration right there. That is probably the worst of any collaborations, and it wasn't on a writing level. The writing level was fine. It was actually more so both sides. It was the pre-production building up, because even with that, like with the second time around when I was working with you guys, we had the place lined up. We had a guy that was excited and everything else. Could have filmed there for free. All we would have to do is really just help him organize the back room and buy it ourselves.
That was such a great deal.
Like,
oh
yeah,
my god! And when I remember walking into the place, and my first thought was, "This is it. This is exactly how I envisioned it."
Yeah, because we had my friend Tasha play one of the lead roles, and
she did a great read.
I mean, she just fitted so well. But all this goes down, and all we had to do was buy the guy a few damn shelves, and help him organize his back room, and be like, "Oh yeah, you can film here. Just film before the shop opens, and after the store closes." Like, that's it? Like, yeah, that's it. Okay, we have a free set to use. Just to shoot the pilot. That's it. Just to shoot a pilot.
It was dressed. We wouldn't have to really move anything. Everything was just so perfect. And I don't think I ever told you the story, but a few years later, in a creative writing club that I was a part of, there was this girl in there, and she is a former pro gamer, right? And we were talking about the game stores, the mom and pops, not any of the chain retailers, just talking about the stuff that's in town. And she mentioned the place we went to.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, I know that place. We were gonna shoot a pilot there. And she was like, wait, that was you guys? I was like, yeah. It's like, yeah, he was so pissed.
Oh, I know.
I was like, oh my god. I'm hearing about this in such a weird way.
Man told me flat out to get the hell out of his store when I walked in there like a month and a half later to buy a game. Like, I told him, like, listen, I had no control over that. I told him, like, I was excited. My co-writers were both excited. Like, I took pictures. I sent it to our other writer. I think Brandon. I forget where he lived at the time, but he's in the Coast Guard. So, like, wherever he lived at the time, whatever, he gets shuffled around. But and he was just looking at this, thinking, "Wow, this is amazing. This looks This is perfect." I'm like, right. And then the worst thing is there was. I think I was given the guilt trip of, well, you didn't close it down. Like, I wasn't the producer. We didn't even schedule a time to really go. What do you call it? Location scout. Like, I was just like in the same way that you were told, hey, we're going to go meet somebody. I think I called you guys and said, hey, I found a place. Why don't we go check it out? I already spoke to the owner a little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
But I ended up talking to him a few years later. I left Florida in 2017. I ended up speaking to him in late 2016. He was working. His son was there, and I said hello. And he's like, "You look familiar." I was like, "Yeah, I'm part of that trio from the sitcom series that we never came through with." And he just kind of like, looked at me and picked it. And you know when someone's pissed when they're staring you dead in the eye, and they pick their front teeth with their tongue. doesn't blink. He doesn't flinch. He's leaning against a glass enclosure by the register and just staring at me, and picks his front teeth with his tongue. I'm like, I'm about to be cursed out by this man. The guy's like, yeah. Where'd you end up filming it? I'm like, oh, well, we never filmed it. I mean, that's what I tried telling you when you told me to get out last time, like, a few years ago. Like, I'm more than happy to film it at some point. Production team's probably going to change a little bit if that ever happens. But, he's like, all right, well, if you ever decide to get up off your asses and make something of yourselves and do something, like, what do I say to this? Like, well, I do own a business. I do okay with it. You own a video game store, supply and demand. You got some cool, shit in here. But I'm like, well, is that an invite to come back here? It says price is going to go up a little bit. I'm like, yeah, I figured. I think that was the last time I was in that store. It's a great story. He's a great dude, though. But yeah, like I said, it's a perfect example of just bad collaboration or bad business, whatever you want to call it. But either way, I do wish everyone the best all around that was involved with that, because it was a very humbling and very, I guess, lesson-filled experience. So,
yeah, at the very least, you don't want to wish ill on anybody, lest that comes back and bite you in the butt.
The guy said he's not even like our former partner in crime. There, he's not even a bad guy. He's really not. He's not remotely close to being a bad guy. He's actually a pretty damn good dude. It's just needs a little work on that kind of stuff. I mean, I think he was, honestly, I think what it was is he was more interested in his own production as opposed to ours. If he had half the interest in what we were doing as opposed to what he was doing, it might have actually gone a different way.
Could be. But it's one of those things that we'll never know. But let's reset things a little bit. If you're tuning in, we're talking about collaboration.
Yes.
Let's ask that important first question. How do you know when it's time to collaborate with someone?
Are you asking me?
Well, I'm putting the question forth. So if you want to take it, or if you want me to take it, either or.
Well, why don't you give your opinion? I'll give mine.
Okay. I think there's a couple of ways to look at it. One, if you have somebody that you know is talented and you have a desire to work with them, it never hurts to put that foot forward. But in a more practical standpoint, if you are writing, and like I said, like you said, we're going to be talking about writing collaborations. If you are someone that is not in tune with a specific character, or maybe there's a style of writing that you have a difficult time with, it could be time to have somebody else to fill that weak spot for your story. At the end of the day, the story is the most important thing, in my opinion, and to make the strongest story possible, you might have to bite the bullet and get somebody that's better at something than you to help fill that gap. And a collaborator is an excellent way to do that. It lifts the story, and it can take it to an entire next level. Like we've mentioned this example on the show before. Sometimes when you're writing a character that is from a background that is completely different than yours, whether it's a religious difference or a racial difference, or even a gender difference, it's important to make those characters come to life. And if you don't have the history with those things that you're trying to put down on, I was going to say on paper, but it's all digital now. So if you don't have any experience with those things in your story, it could definitely come off as tone deaf or just, I don't know, dumb. Somebody would look at it and say, this was definitely not written by somebody from that particular set of people. So you bring in someone to bring some authenticity to characters, to locations, to stories. I think from a practical standpoint, like I said, that is the first step in searching for a collaborator rather than just, hey, you're my buddy, we should work together. It's usually, I think, one or the other. What about you?
Well, I think that, honestly, when it comes to any kind of collaborative effort, the best way to figure out, is now a good time to find a collaborator? Would be pretty much like you said, if you're writing something, if you're working on a project, there's always a mixture of signs that can be confusing. Like if you're just stuck in place, you cannot figure out where to continue. It may not mean that you need to collaborate. It may mean that you just need to step back and reevaluate the story and how you're going to tell it. But I think, honestly, if it, like you said, if it comes to writing about a culture or some kind of ethnicity that you may not understand or something like that, there's certain things that when it comes to writing about those, it may or may not end well in your favor if you don't have someone that's familiar with that culture. But honestly, I think more so if it's something you want to go into, I prefer not to come into writing something and be like, hey, now I want to get a co-writer. With Bad Agent, it was only after I'd actually written that first pilot episode and we filmed it. I'm like, okay, well, Brian and Mark and I talked about how it'd be funny to do this as an actual series. I don't really think that I could. I don't know, I'm sure I could, but I'd rather be able to have a few insights and other people's perspectives into this character's life. So I think it'd be a good idea to seek out co-writers. That's when I asked you. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I'll also ask Brian if he wants to write something since he plays Simon, and maybe I can have him add his 2 cents to the character. So Brian came on too. But more so if it's a story that I want to tell, if it's something that I think is really funny. I don't know. I try to find someone that I can think of that I would have faith in their writing. So far, you're the only, outside of writing a pilot script very drunkenly with my buddy Ryan, you're the only person I've actually continuously I have written numerous things with, be it shorts or half-hour pilots or stuff like that. So naturally, you're my go-to, but it's because of the fact that you and I don't know, but you and I have a good beat on each other. We've been friends for X amount of years. We understand each other. Our humor, our personalities differ, but they don't really clash. I think the most we've ever clashed was me just messing with you over Back to the Future.
And I will always hate you for that.
Oh, I know. You're pissed.
Oh, oops. I guess I unmuted my microphone.
No, but it's when it comes to stuff like that, I mean, I'm more interested in the things like the telltale signs of, with collaboration can come creative differences.
Yeah.
And creative differences are good things or bad things. Creative differences are good things and bad things. But as far as the bad part goes, I try to steer clear from people who I don't really have the same creative thought track with. You can't really look at something and be like, oh, that's a beautiful tree. Oh, I don't see a tree. I see a telephone pole. Just an example of a creative difference. It's all about how you see things. If that continues, it makes for a very difficult time writing. So if I seek out, I don't really know when a good time is to seek out a co-writer or collaborator. I just know the kind that you should seek out. It's the kind that you can actually mesh well together, because it is a marriage of minds of sorts. You have to have that that chemistry with that person. You have to be able to know exactly what they're thinking, and you have to be open to the idea of what you want to write may not be excuse me, I'm sorry, may not be what makes it into the final draft. So I mean, like, for crying out loud, with Bad Agent, how many times have you told me, like, I don't really think that's a good idea, and I'm like, oh, well, you're right, I'll cut that up.
I think one of the things to remember, though, is, that's a good thing to point out. When you're getting a little bit of a jaggy audio there for a second. When you are writing with someone and there is a difference of opinion, something you should never, ever, ever, ever do is shut somebody down, right?
Yeah, screw you guys, I'm going home.
You should never say, we shouldn't do that, and then that's it. You just shut them down. It doesn't matter what the idea is. If somebody's like, for this scene, we should have excuse me, we should have Hitler walk along the background, and suddenly he's doing the electric slide, and the other person's like, no, that's stupid, and just shuts it down. That's not conducive for a healthy...
Josh, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you're like, so you got really distant there for a second. I don't know if that's me or if it's you.
Could have been me, could have been you, but continuing with my example, to just shut down the whole idea is just bad for your relationship, your working relationship, let alone any personal relationship you might also have. But if you do find yourself in a situation where maybe
Hello?
You don't
Josh?
think...
All right, I'm barely hearing you here, buddy.
Well, everybody else does, so... Might be something on your end there, Brandon.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was like my connection or your connection.
No, it's definitely not mine. I'm coming through loud and clear.
Okay, well, it's cool. I'll hear it in post.
What I'm saying is, always have a suggestion. Don't shut anything down unless you have something to either replace or enhance something you don't like. Otherwise, you're just being a dick. It's like, we shouldn't do that. No, we definitely shouldn't do that. Well, what should we do then? I don't know, just not that. That'd be terrible. I'm fortunate enough to have, and yes, Brandon, when I'm playing a game or I'm talking to someone and my phone rings and they're like, who's that? I always say, it's my writing partner.
Okay.
That's a weird noise.
I heard, like, it sounded like I was talking to R2-D2 there for a second. I could hear, like, bits and pieces of your voice. Like I said, I'll hear that, and I'll hear all that in post. I don't mean to sound dismissive over the whole thing. Are you hearing me okay here?
Yeah, you're actually coming through better than ever right this second.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I just... Yeah, for everyone listening, I'm sorry. I don't know if it's like... I'm guessing it's a technical difficulty on my end. Every time you said something, it reminded me of Wayne's World. When they're ordering at the order box and he keeps cutting off, like, while he's saying stuff just to try to get, like, I don't know, like, to mess with them or to get... I forget. It's been years, but...
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like when you were speaking. So I don't know what exactly the deal was there. It was really weird. It only went on for like 3 minutes, but it's long enough for me to miss out on a good amount of what you said. It's enough to frustrate people if I were to have you repeat it. So,
right. The only thing I closed with was when you call and I'm around people, I say, that's my writing partner.
Oh, see, that's awesome. And that's sweet. I love that. Important.
I'm sure I always include writing. So, okay, I don't always include writing, and I want people to think we're in love.
It's okay.
Good.
Let them ponder our relationship.
What does he mean, partner? I don't know what that means. Good. But yeah, I'm very lucky to have a collaborator that he is like my really dirty other half.
Oh yeah. Well, I've kept it pretty clean. See, I feel so bad because the last episode there was so many explicitives there, but we were also discussing, that movie Cuties that's coming out. So it's like and I also had a little bit too much to drink too. So that whenever I drink, bad things come out of my mouth even more so than usual.
And people are like, "Why is it rated TVMA?" Well, wait till you hear how Brandon talks about it.
Yeah, you think that movie's offensive? Listen to our show. But no. But and the thing is like you have to find that, proverbial other half. You have to find that, kindred spirit or that like-minded individual who may not share your personality, but they share your vision. Like you don't have to, I could co-write with a born-again Christian. I say that not to attack born-again Christians, just for the fact that I'm definitely, for anyone who's listening to this show, you know damn well that I'm not one of those people. But it comes down to just like that chemistry. And you can have the polar opposite when it comes to collaboration, especially when it comes to screenwriting, as I mentioned earlier. You can have someone that doesn't share the same view, doesn't share the same vision. Like you want this guy to, you want the story to happen during the daytime. They want the story to happen at night. You want the scene to take place here. They want the scene to take place here. You can budge, but if they don't, it's time to, walk out. That's a creative difference that you can't really grow from. Like you and I have had creative differences, and we've worked through them.
Mm-hmm.
Brian in the Bad Agent series introduced a really good idea for this one character, Jennifer, that you and I, for whatever reason, never even thought of.
Yeah,
first one, no,
seems so obvious now.
Yeah, and then he introduces this. I'm like, well, shit, okay. Brian, go on with your bad self there, bud. Like, I mean, you really came up with a very obvious but insanely, amazingly intelligent idea. Like, that's okay. I feel like an idiot now.
Yeah, we looked at it and it's like literally, what? Why didn't we think of this?
Yeah, like, why isn't this character talking to this character this whole time? Oh, well, okay. Well, there we go. But with all this that goes on, I mean, you have to be mindful of who you collaborate with, and when you find that collaborative spirit in that team, you have to figure out how to do it. A lot of new screenwriters think, well, I'm going to find a co-writer, and then that screenwriter thinks because it's their idea that they are running the show, yes and no. And it makes for a very toxic situation to be in. You don't want that.
Like, while we're on that, say someone has an idea, they bring on someone else to help write it. There definitely has to be some sort of hierarchy, right?
Well, I mean, there should definitely be a hierarchy, of sorts. But the thing is you have to be careful what the hierarchy is. I mean, like with Bad Agent. I would assume that I would be the showrunner for it. But at the same time, when me, and Brian were writing out the season, not once did I say, no, that's not going to work. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. No, I like this. We're doing this. Like, well, you have to be open-minded. Even if you were in the position of running the whole thing, you have to be open to saying, well, no, this is actually a good idea and it's better than mine. You have to have that ability to swallow your pride. Hierarchy is very important with anything you ever do. You have to have a team lead. But you have to be humble enough to know that you may not know as much as you would hope that you do. Someone may have a better idea than you.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, somebody's going to have to sign off on something. And
oh, yeah.
I remember reading Drew Carey's one. I don't know if he wrote more than one. Drew Carey has a book, right? It's called Dirty Jokes and Beer. And each chapter begins with a dirty joke. So it's a little bit enjoyable. But he also talks about his time on the Drew Carey show. And he was talking about being, an executive producer, which, as he put it, just means you're a TV writer. And you get to go to the producer meetings and whatnot. And in one of the scripts they were talking about, I haven't read this book in like 20 years, so bear with me. He was in a production meeting, and the script called for Drew grabbing an umbrella. And somebody from the props department was like, "What kind of umbrella?" It's like, an umbrella. I'm like, is it a black umbrella? Is it a blue umbrella? Does it have a, straight handle? Does it have a curved handle? What? Tell me what you want. And they had this 20-minute conversation about an umbrella. Because in the script it says, Drew grabs an umbrella. So, somebody, and if I'm not mistaken, everybody looked at Drew for this decision, and he made one, but somebody has to make that, somebody has to decide what kind of umbrella is going to make it onto the show, essentially. And yeah. I thought it was a great example of, all of these people are coming together to work on one thing. People come together to work on projects. People come together to write. But at the end of the day, at the end of the project, a decision has to be made about what goes in and what stays out. And you can talk all day about 50-50 partnerships and whatever you want, but there has to be some sort of button that you press to go, no, this has to be the finalized version. Otherwise, we're going to be here all day talking about this little detail.
Yep, there we go again.
There we go again? I guess I'm sounding like Mr. Roboto to Brandon at the moment. Hey, if you're listening to Facebook Live, how about you drop a message in the chat?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, I don't know why, buddy, but you can, every time you speak, and like I said, I'm going to hear all this stuff in post. I'm going to look like a complete moron here. I don't know if it's my Facebook Wi-Fi or what, but something is happening where when you're speaking, just it starts breaking in and out. I heard most of what you said, but it's that's exactly with Drew Carey with his thing. We're like, oh well, it really. With my collaboration, it's I've learned to tone down a lot of details. I know that they're very important to certain people for certain reasons, but the whole umbrella thing, what kind of umbrella do you need? What color, what handle? Who cares? It's an umbrella. Just get a damn an umbrella. But it's with my writing, I don't ever write a specific attire someone's wearing. I'll write down it's business attire. It's business casual.
Yeah, there's a whole department of people that do things like that. They win Oscars and stuff.
Oh, I know. Yeah, costuming, props, and all that. But...
Now,
anyway.
If it's something that needs to be specific, of course it's going to be mentioned. But that's in selling the story. When it comes... when I write characters... as you do when you're writing a script, there has to be some sort of very brief, very brief is the best word. There has to be a description, right? You don't have to do, Brandon, 5'10", blonde hair, blue eyes, blue shirt, lapel pin, blah 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 blah. That's not absolutely necessary to get your character description in during the introduction, right? Yeah, you can feed in a few more details here and there. What you really should try to do is just, bam, this is a very, very brief description of this character that's walking your room. Brandon, 35, business casual, arrogant. See, I said he's 35, so it's not your age, so it's not you. That's basically all. Somebody else will say, "Oh, he's arrogant, so I guess he needs a red shirt." That's a problem for someone else to decide. So, little things like that. Just you and your partner get a character introduced. You don't have to, lay out their life story in the first paragraph they're mentioned. Definitely not necessary.
And this right here is not anywhere nearly close to being on topic, but I just got a text. I actually, I enjoy the humor that we take on the show and everything else, but there is something that has kind of shifted a little bit here. Chadwick Boseman, the guy that played Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
A report just came out that he just passed away after fighting colon cancer for 4 years.
Wait, what?
Chadwick Boseman, the Black Panther himself has passed away.
Sweet mother of Wakanda.
Yeah, definitely rough news. I mean, it was, and the worst thing is the fact that first off, cancer is just horrible itself. I mean, it's a horrible thing to have. But with Chadwick Boseman, he's just, from what I've read about him, he was probably one of the sweetest, most endearing people that you could ever meet. Very down to earth. And it was just, it's horrible to read that. So, I mean, it really is. Definitely my best thoughts and prayers go out to the family. Just anyone that's worked with him on Marvel, and it's absolutely horrible. I mean, just such a young guy, 43 years old, I think. Just absolutely just horrifically bad. I mean, sorry to stomp on the mood of the podcast there. Just I had to throw that out there. I don't really see stuff like that come across my. It doesn't really come to my attention very often, right away. So it just came to my attention now. So I felt it was definitely worth talking about. So
yeah, I switched over to Twitter and bam, there it is.
Yep. And at this rate, you got to think, and I don't mean this in any insensitive way. At this point, you have to think, he did such a great job playing Black Panther. So, I will save this conversation for another time. But either way, he did such a great job. It's a tragic loss. So, just to the Boseman family, all my absolute best. I know that I come off as like the very, very uncensored and unfiltered person, but even I have a heart when it comes to things, and this is just really, really just horrible news. So.
Oh, dude.
I know.
2020.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to do right now. I seriously have no idea what to do.
Yeah, I really don't even know how to. I mean, it's one of those deals where, we still have a show to do. It's just one of those. No. Best I can offer for our show, to show our respects to this insanely talented actor. and all around just, really just, a great guy. And again, I don't know him personally. I've never met him. I've never had a conversation with him. It's just things that you hear. I guess the best thing that I can say for our show, Josh, is to, offer up, a moment of silence and, raise a glass to his memory, which I happen to have a glass with me right now. So I will do that in my moment of silence. And, sorry, I don't really know how long the moment of silence lasts. So it's one of those. I mean, I don't mean to laugh about it. It's just I don't really. I'm so not good at emotional stuff. I really am not, and it really does hurt. I mean, again, it's not just because he's an actor, not just because he played such a minor character and brought so much life to that character. It's more so the fact that it's always sad seeing a really, I guess, talented, very famous, but also very down-to-earth person, taken away. So,
well, I'm not even sure how to get back on track after this, but we do have an hour in, so.
Well, if you feel as though this show, and if you feel as though the show is sidetracked, and very understandably so by this, and for all our listeners, I do apologize for throwing off the topic of discussion, and there really is not any way that we can just drop it without seeming insensitive, and I wouldn't be like ending the show just because now we have nothing to talk about and we killed the mood. There are things that I guess we can sideline for next week's show. Because I don't know yet if we'll have a guest lined up for next week. If not, no worries. You and I can carry ourselves just fine, and we can carry this show into next week and pick up where we left off and gather our thoughts. But this is, I know this is a blow. It really is. It's he's done some amazing roles. He's done a great job with the roles he's played. And for him to take on the role of Black Panther, honestly, I say we just move the show into talking about what a great job he did as an actor. He's such an amazing actor that he was able to bring a background character. For the most part, Black Panther has his own following, obviously, but much like Iron Man and Thor, he didn't really have much of a voice until we saw him in Civil War.
Yeah.
And just in that movie alone, that movie was written so well that he actually grew. That character, like every character had a certain kind of growth, or I guess regression, I guess is the best way to put it. But like with Iron Man, just going straight towards vengeance, like the entire movie. Obviously, it didn't end well for Iron Man, Captain America, and all them. But with how Chadwick Boseman brought Black Panther to life, this is a character that I never really even cared about. It just was never really the kind of character that I would really be excited about reading about, just because it was a character I knew nothing about. And the way he came along and introduced his character and showed an entire generation, that black people in film are just as valuable when it comes to having their screen time and having their stories heard, even if it's just like a spectacular, fictional story. He gave a voice to an entire group of people that so very seldom have their own voice. in film. There, you and I talked about this before. There's not very many films in comparison to films where there are, like white leads. There are not very many films where there are black actors or actresses helming the film in comparison that go on to be staples in cinema. And what Black Panther did, even as a comic book movie, just with the gross alone and the fan base of all races. I mean, it's a film that really brought a lot of people together over their love of the character and of the content itself. And Chadwick Boseman's portrayal of Black Panther deserves a monumental amount of credit just for that alone. So I will leave this to you, Josh. What do you feel the best course of action to do is for the show tonight?
Well,
because I know this is especially a blow to you.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to say let's just go ahead and wrap things up.
Okay. So then, like I said, I'll end my thoughts on, to anyone that's worked with him, all of his, like his friends, family, his fans, everyone. Whenever you have an actor that is suddenly gone, however private their struggles were with something, whether it's, a mental or physical disease, whenever you lose someone that you really look up to, it is always going to be a devastating blow. So for all of his fans, Josh, you included, my greatest sympathies go out to you guys. It's horrible news. So, and I, just it felt like it was something that really deserved to be spoken about as it came across immediately, because we never get a chance to really do that. So, but I'll let you take it away from here, Josh.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry. I'm still just.
Yeah, I know you're still reeling from this. So,
let's see. For those of you watching on Facebook Live, I've got some graphics for you. If you want to know more about the things I do, go to semicorestudios.com. Follow me on Twitter at SkidComic or at Wadcast Pod. And like the Semicore Studios Facebook page as well as the Wadcast Facebook page, because that is where you're going to find out the latest and greatest on everything that's going on in the world of Semicore Studios and the Wadcast. Brandon, give them the Wadcast IG and whatnots.
Oh, yep. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/the Wadcast, Instagram at the Wadcast, and also go to our website, thewadcast.com. But with Facebook and Instagram, you'll know it's our page because we have our beautiful little black logo there with a white banner across it that has Wadcast writers, actors, directors inside of it, and that's where you can follow us. So, Josh, go ahead and take it away from here. I'm just going to wish everyone to have a very happy night, and also, obviously, a very solemn night. And that's all I got. So, Josh, go ahead and take it away, bud.
All right. Normally, I give you a nice little message saying, get out of your own way and make your art. Well, now I'm imploring you. There's nothing stopping you but you. So get out of your way and make your art. Our time on this big old ball of crap that's flying through space is very limited. And tomorrow's not guaranteed. Make your art today. Leave your mark on this world. Only you can do that. So until next week, I'm Josh. That's Brandon. Thank you for listening to the Wadcast.
Okay.